Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Carl. I'm here with Sebastian Szalinski. Thank you for joining me today, brother.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. I'm really excited for this video. We have one huge topic that we want to talk about that's really, really important. This is going to be the make or break for your D2C brand for the next couple of years, right? I don't need to explain what's happening right now, what's going on right now with the economic recession, with the downturn, change in consumer behavior, rise of CPM, CPC, and CPA. It's getting hard, right? It's getting difficult for most of the brands out there. So we want to talk about what we see work for our brands and our clients' brands and what you can take from this, right? We're going to cover a lot of really important topics. We want to focus on making this video really, really high value for you guys so you can take this, apply it. Whether you are a high seven, or even an 8-figure brand, right? This is going to apply to all of you equally because either way you apply these strategies or you're not going to make it over the next couple of years. It's really important that and this is what we're going to talk about, it's really important that you cover the foundations, right? It's all going to come back to the foundations of how you set up your brands, your logistics, your back-end, front-end, everything of whether you're going to survive the next couple of years or whether you're going to thrive, really. So I'm here with Sebastian. Excited to have him here. He's managing a portfolio of e-com brands, which is doing over $450 million in revenue this year. And yeah, I'm really excited to have him here and have him explain a lot of the brands that he sees thriving right now, whether it be his own or like the ones in the same economy, and what they're doing right? So I'm gonna just get right into it. I think that where we should start is talk about advertising, paid acquisition, right? Everybody is familiar with this topic. Everybody's putting their attention to this topic, so it's important to make it right. So I would love you to cover the topic paid acquisition, how to run it, how to run different channels, and also understand what should be the strategy. Because a lot of the brands are big on Facebook, maybe big on Google, and everybody's going to the shiny object syndrome of TikTok right now. And I want you to explain, please, like what's important in the mix of marketing and in the stack and how to utilize the different channels.
For sure. First of all, thanks for the nice intro. What an intro, and I have to really perform. So, as you mentioned, like paid ads, it's no secret that it's the growth engine of D2C brands. And all the ads we are managing, all the brands we're managing right now, we are of course managing their ads. So we spent close to 60 million this year, or like overseeing close to 60 million this year on like every platform you can imagine. And this is basically the key. In the last couple of years, we spent 80% of our budget on Facebook because it was just the most effective platform that you can run ads on. And it was just too good to not focus on. And right now, since, the iOS 14 stuff was no joke, we all laughed about it when it came out and we all were pretty shocked how the results were for every one of us. So we totally diversified our paid acquisition onto, of course, Google, TikTok, Pinterest, sometimes Snap, or even Twitter ads, just to get like the omnipresent going. And I think the way the most successful brands were built in the past, like the top 1%, the manners that they established there, how to run the brands, how to view branding, how to see like the overall profitability of your business case, has now shifted onto becoming the new standard for brands to run. So what was a mindset of the top 1%, to have like a growth mindset, to focus on retention marketing, to really build a brand and authority in their space, now has to be like a fundamental mindset for every brand. And especially on advertising, you have to master every channel that is available for your brand. I mean, there are some brands who are not too great on TikTok. There are some brands who are like perfect on Pinterest, but you really have to find out what, first of all, your optimum selling system is. Like brands we take on, we want to establish the optimum selling system. This is like from the book Ready, Fire, Aim from Mark Ford, like one of the greatest books I ever read on business, which is like one channel, highly profitable, highly scalable. You have to find that at first, but you don't know what your optimum selling system is. For some it's Google, for some it's Facebook, for some it's TikTok. So we have to have a well-rounded approach with a lot of efficiency, how to find out which channel for you is the most relevant. So I think this is the first objective for every brand, to really hone down onto what is their optimum, highly scalable selling system that they can acquire new customers for profit. And after that, really diversify their paid acquisition onto other channels so that the revenue spikes or like the cost spikes on certain events don't affect the brands too much after all. So being like on every platform possible is not a nice to have, but a total necessity right now.
Okay, sweet. So just to recap this really quickly, you're talking about testing, right? The testing phase in the beginning, really efficient testing phase, so you're not wasting your ad budget. To understand which is the optimum selling system, right? Which is the channel where your brand and your offer is going to perform the best, right? Whether it be Facebook or TikTok or Google. And then the next step is to build around that, right? Making the omni-channel strategy work. What would be really interesting, I think, for a lot of people listening is why is it important that when you found one channel that's working really well to support it with the other channels?
Yeah, so after all, customer acquisition is non-linear. You can't just scale a channel and expect that every part of your conversion equation is just on that channel. You have a lot of guys who are seeing an ad on Facebook and then Googling you, or then signing up for your welcome flow via email, or just having referrals from friends. So you actually have to push every channel there is to be in the minds of your prospect. And the risk that you have just running on one channel is not worth it anymore. In the past, you could highly bet on just one channel. And if you asked me 2 years ago, are you bullish on Facebook continuing to be awesome? I was like, yeah, for sure. Like, why would we even bother to start like some Twitter ads and stuff? The ROI on Facebook is just too immense. But we saw what could happen with the iOS strike. We saw what could happen during election periods when like every second ad account got shut down, like from one day to another. So mitigating the risk of losing your optimal sales system and then being of mercy of Zuckerberg to really squeeze your profits out of you is just not an option anymore. You really want to run your own business. You don't want Zuckerberg to be like at the forefront of telling you, okay, your profit is 5% this month and minus 5% next month. So you actually have to have every ropes in your hand to pull the cart on your own speed.
Yeah. Would you say that this is the same for all brands at all ad spend level, or that there are certain different growth stages of how brands should build this omnichannel strategy? And also what I think is really interesting, because when you talk to all of these like really niche down agencies, let's say email, Facebook, Google, what I found is that most of the times they cannibalize the other ones, right?
Yes.
Email marketing agency says, yeah, well, all of this revenue is from us because we put this flow live.
Welcome
Facebook
flow.
says it's like our,
yes.
we attributed it to our ones, and Google says, no, it's our sale. And you have this cannibalization thing going on between different channels. So what would you say is like the different growth stages for brands, and then also how should brand owners make the decision of who to listen to and how to set these different channels up? Because obviously, if you have multiple agencies, each of them wants to have the highest spend and is going to attribute a lot of the sales to their channel.
Yeah, so pretty important topic. So first of all, there are for sure certain growth stages, because at some point having multiple channels is just shiny object syndrome. So you really don't need Snapchat ads if you're just under $500 a day on Facebook. It doesn't make sense. So I think like the first objective to get to is to get like a consistent 4-figure ad spend on one channel and getting it profitable. If it's not profitable, your offer has to be better. So this is like non-negotiable anymore. And afterwards, it's like just find one supporting channel. And on most of the brands, it's no secret. It's having a very strong Facebook channel and then really honing down on Google to use every option there is. I mean, the Google network is huge, like with search, shopping, Performance Mac that came out, YouTube is part of the network too. So just taking what works on Facebook, repurposing it, and really looking to what does that tell me, acquiring customers, that I can transfer to the other channel. So one channel at first, 4-figure ad spend a day, getting a second channel like Google in place. I think like the sweet spot, I think, would be like hitting multiple 6 figures a month. And if you have that established, because up to that point, your profit margins are like, I mean, you're making like 10 to 20K profit a month. Like this is just a nice hobby, to be honest. So if you accomplish that, then you can take on risk to find out what other channels you could try. So for sure, at first more shiny object syndrome than necessity, But up to a certain level, you have to take well-calculated risks, like for sure. And then the second topic you talked about, the cannibalization of the agencies. In the past, in my experience, it's just a personal experience working with brands and having owned multiple brands myself, is that the pie was big enough for everyone to eat in the past. So it was like no big deal. I mean, the Facebook agency took credit, the email agency took credit, Google agency, of course, and then you had some creative department, external, and everyone took credit, and it was fine because like it was a 400% year after year growth for these brands. So like you can all take credit. It's okay. But as the market tightens down, the need for efficiency rises up. So you really have to judge what is the most, like the main contributor to your success. And I think changing the paradigm from a agency-centric approach, from having the founder in the middle and then working with like 10 different agencies on every part of the business, will collapse down onto focusing on the most effective way in assisting your own portfolio. So the biggest brands we work with basically started with the founder doing everything themselves. Once they mastered certain topics, they brought someone in helping him, or bringing someone in, basically lending their manpower onto you to really focus down on this channel. Like if you mastered Facebook ads yourself, you're bringing a Facebook ads agency that is also doing the content for you. So you can just push more on these channels. In doing that, you get a good grasp of what actually moves the needle in your business. And then you can actually judge, okay, which agency or like which service I'm hiring really is useful for me. And some agencies are more like a sprint that you bring in. Like maybe you never ran TikTok in the past. And you have a creator pool, but you have no idea how to do TikTok ads. It's pretty useful to bring on a boutique agency that does like hardcore TikTok ads media buying, ramping up your channels for like 3 to 4 months or like maybe even 6 months, and then fading that out and bringing it in-house. I see that happening a lot, and we are helping brands with that. On other topics like CRO or like landing pages or doing highly technical stuff or like multivariate testing, tracking, like really deep tech stuff, I think you have to earn outsourcing this in a way that your business spits out that much revenue and profit that you don't want to have that in-house, but you get the luxury in hiring someone that already built out their perfect systems for you. Because I think for most of the founders, it's kind of impossible to build a CRO team in-house. Like how? If they haven't run a CRO agency in the past, like I don't see that. So you have to find out like what your biggest levers are, pulling that and realizing some parts you can't build yourself, you actually have to hire. And on the email side, maybe it's not that difficult to do like the baseline of email automations doing Klaviyo. I mean, Klaviyo was acquired by Shopify. That tells you something. And if you look at YouTube, you find some tutorials. So I don't think you need an agency for doing like the bare minimum work.
What I really liked, you talked about the pie being big enough in the past for everybody to have a piece of cake. And now you kind of have to shift towards analyzing the pie better because the pie got smaller and you have to become more efficient, right? So as a brand owner, as a founder, I think now you have you have to take responsibility and ownership into really getting a deep understanding of the data of your brand, the unit economics, the back end, and how all of these channels contribute to you growing as a brand, right? Because if you just pay every agency performance-based and then they all attribute the sales to their channel, you're going to pay too much, right? And if you had like a low profit margin and then you're paying everybody too much, you have to optimize efficiency, right? So what would you say for like a business owner or brand owner? How should they, what decision-making framework should they have in order to improve efficiency? And also what can you give them as like gold nuggets or key takeaways from the brands that you work with?
Yeah, so this is awesome. I really like the question. I think most of the businesses aren't broken. Like the pie got smaller, yeah, but you actually can get more efficient, which is refreshing to hear. Like everyone is just painting like doomsday scenarios. I really don't view it that way. I think just you actually have to proactively think about what to change. And most of the brands we work with, they are changing their front-end offering basically at first, going to more high-ticket front-end products, doing like bundles, doing like high-ticket front-end products to acquire customers at a profit again. Because CPMs are getting more expensive, clicks are getting more expensive, tracking gets kind of skewed, so you actually have to have like margin for error there. So moving your customer acquisition strategy to acquiring customers at a profit again at first is like one of the best ways to get more efficient if you just have more profit per new customer, new to brand customer. Afterwards, it's like realizing what are the main revenue drivers in my case. For some brands, some part of the services are just nice to have. I mean, they're just there because like your competitors may be doing them, or like they're driven from ego because you want to be like in big publishing editorial, something like that, or you are priding yourself that you have a lot of employees, like stuff like that. You really have to look what actually moves the needle for me. So trying to get customer acquisition profitable again, because a lot of people neglected that in the past because they're like, okay, we're always thriving. We're just acquiring new customers. We're taking care of retention later. So that would be the first. The second would be to really cut down expenses on the employee and on the tool side, because I think most of the bigger brands are overstaffed, to be honest, on the critical tasks. And they are understaffed in the highest leverage tasks. So maybe you don't need like 4 marketing managers doing a little bit of influencer outreach and getting like content creation there. I see a lot of brands doing that at a certain level. Like it's kind of hilarious, like how overstaffed they are in some place, but they have like no one overseeing their Google account, which is pretty simple. Like this for me is like crazy to think about. And on the other way, it's to look at what can be the biggest levers on the back end working with the customers we have. Because retention was very unsexy in the last 2 years, because it was like an acquisition boom. Yeah. Everyone was just, like a bull market, the stock exchange. And I think retention is like a pretty big part, and most of the brand owners are really neglecting what can be a good retention strategy. We have one brand under management, you know them too, they have like a big affiliate network for their own customers. And once they launch another product, like a limited edition series, like they don't even need to do the marketing because they have a Facebook group with like 5,000 clients there who are loving the products. I mean, they can run their business for 6 months without running ads again.
Yeah.
For some way.
I think you talked about a lot of really great levers. So for me, what you talked about, it's like you gotta dial in the acquisition, you gotta dial in the funnel and the offer, and you gotta dial in the retention, right? Like these are the big 3 levers that you can pull as a D2C brand. And I think, as you said again, like brands really love to go into shiny object syndrome mode and just go on TikTok because everybody's on TikTok now, even though it may not be the optimum setting system for their brand, right? Maybe they just throw money out of the window on TikTok and they should be putting more ad spend on Facebook. What we see working for like the real big 8-figure brands that we have is that they have dialed in all 3 of these stages. And they dialed these in because they have an understanding of the customer journey, right? What you said, gotta understand the customers and how they buy, right? Which is the main channel where they buy, so you can allocate the ad spend there. And which are the supporting channels in the customer journey. It may be like the first touch point is on Facebook, then the retargeting has to be done on Google, and then Instagram is another big channel because you're selling like shoes, for example, and they want to see how other customers are wearing them, right? And if they can see themselves in the shoes. So you have to understand this first. Then second step, funnel. I think this is so hugely important. And if you look at these like big brands, and for me, I did a presentation like 1 week ago in Dubai, and I analyzed over 48 and 9-figure D2C brands. And I put in 20 of our clients, right? Like the big 8-figure brands, and just like analyzed what they are doing, and then also analyzed what competitors, other big brands are doing in the market. And they all have really, really dialed in their funnels and their offers. Like it's a work of art if you go into their funnels. It's crazy. Like you are getting so sucked into it, even if you're not the target audience. Just from the way that they have the copy or the storytelling or the offer, it makes so much sense, and you can see that it's so dialed in, right? Whether it be like a Pet Lab Co., right? They're selling dog food. They're like a 9-figure brand, Miracle brand, these cooling bed sheets. They're like a lot of these big brands. And then they have a really well thought through funnel and offer, right? They have a huge AOV. We're talking like $150, $200 AOV at a high conversion rate at a high scale, right? So they are doing it right. They don't have to rely on the back end or customer lifetime value to get them the profitability, but they can scale so aggressively because they're profitable on the front end, right? Like this is going to be the key to your success ultimately as a D2C brand, like be profitable on the front end, on like the first purchase. Money in, money out, profit instantly, right? And you can just scale, and you can also take market share from your competitors. So dial in the acquisition and then also the funnel and the offer. And then the next step is going to be retention, right? We have a lot of brands, also what you talked about. Community is a huge way of really retaining customers and building this connection to your brand.
You need a good product for that.
Huh?
You need a good product to have community.
Yeah. But we see this across like a multitude of products, right? Whether it be supplements, whether it be fashion. We've seen this like a lot of clients do, because ultimately it can be a pain-solving product, it can be a beauty product, it could be everything. It's just about how you market the community behind it, right? It could be a community of people that love design and that love like wearing outfits, and they're really like geeking out about like how can I match my Yeezys with my joggers or something, right? Or it could be a community of like middle-aged women that take protein powder every single day because they want to be more healthy. Or it could be something else, right? So I think it's more about like really understanding how can I retain them, and also how can I differentiate my brand. Because it's not about like the ads anymore, or like some new shiny object, new tactic, new hack, new strategy, but rather about you really building a foundation with the brand and really having a strong brand, right? And that's like funny because you have worked a lot with dropshippers. We also work with a lot of dropshippers in the past. We have a huge network of dropshippers, and every single dropshipper is turning from dropshipping to at least branded dropshipping or building a brand. Because all of them know dropshipping is just a short-term way to success. You can run a store, you can run a product, you can get a couple mil out of one product, but it may be like a 1 to 3 month lifespan, and then the store is done. You have to move to another winning product. So you're just churning through stores, right?
Yeah.
Even the guys that are doing big figures, like we have this one mutual friend of ours who's doing like big numbers, he's churning through stores. He may be doing like 5 million with a store in like 2 months, but then it's done. Like it's not a long-term way of thinking, and everybody's moving to a brand now, because then you can have repeat customers, you can build a brand, and you really have an asset that one day you can sell.
Totally. I had a couple of thoughts as you run down your points there. The first of all would be regarding your front-end acquisition system and funnels. Scaling basically is just selling to more people who are more and more unaware and actually don't want your products. So you need to have a really good acquisition system to convince people who aren't in the market yet to buy your products. And the brands you talked about, like cool bedsheets and stuff, you don't know, you don't wake up today and are like, I really want to buy some cool bedsheets. But they get their front-end acquisition that good that after going through the funnel, you're thinking, damn, I didn't know I was missing that. And solving that first of all. Then the second thing you mentioned is being cash positive on day one. I'm a big fan of having a lot of excess cash in the business and really running your competition in the ground, because after all, ads are just an auction, and if you can bid more for a customer, you can bid more than your competitors. So this is the best long-term strategy. I mean, a lot of people are talking about long-term strategy means making no profit on the front end. In my opinion, making a lot of profit on the front end is the best long-term strategy, because you can actually bid way more aggressively. And the third thing you mentioned is moving from dropshipping to branded dropshipping, or moving to brand, because if you don't plan on quitting business in the foreseeable future, I mean, we're young, we're in our 20s. Like, I am not planning on quitting in the next 5 years. Most of the guys I'm talking to, maybe they're romanticized about it, but they're not actively trying to quit and just living in a hammock. Why wouldn't you do the smartest long-term play? Like, why wouldn't you? If you want to run through multiple stores after like 2 to 3 months and then churning and building the next stuff, you have to work regardlessly. Like, choose your heart. Choose your heart, getting like content creators in place, finding good content creators, having a good creative strategy, scaling your products, building good bundles, building community. This is another way of hard. For me, it's way harder to find new winning products and then building new stores and building a new creator pool and stuff like that. So choose the heart that you want. We had a big case study in the past where we scaled to like $1 million in profit in like 2 months on TikTok. But dude, refund hell after that, of course, taxes and stuff. And then the clients we work with didn't find another product for the next 3 months afterwards. So if you really hone down your profit onto the month that you need up until getting another brand to work, getting like the refund stuff, having like 100 grand frozen on PayPal, like the typical stuff, it's not that more profitable in the short term. Like, of course, doing branded stuff may be a bit more difficult because you actually have to put some love into it, but the long-term play, of course, is like way more profitable. And the clients you work with, they need to have long-term play because otherwise, CRO, conversion optimization, A/B testing isn't really great for them because like it's not a magic trick to like double revenue in 20 days. If you really want to work with that and optimize the efficiency of your store, optimizing dollar per visit and stuff, you better have like long-term perspective. And then having a lot of smart people work on it. Because if it would be that easy, everyone would be running a 10% conversion rate store.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks that you said. What I found also like analyzing all of these brands that first of all, they have the funnel started in. Secondly, they have a really great understanding of the target audience. Also what you were talking about, they create the awareness and they create the problem for you.
Yes.
You don't need to have the awareness or you don't need to have the knowledge about that you have this problem. Like they will tell you, Sebastian, you are sleeping bad and here you need to buy this pillow case so that you can sleep better. And after going through the ads and the funnel and everything, you're like, oh damn, I really need this product. So they are so great at marketing and selling you that like they can scale it this crazy, right? And also what you said, I just want to make this point clear. It's so important to be profitable in the front end because like long-term play, right? Are you going to be able to scale more aggressively and profitably if you're profitable in the front end against a brand that needs like a 30-day customer lifetime value to be profitable again? And they can just do it because of their payment goals, right? Like who's going to win in the long term?
Yeah.
And as you said, it's all going to be a long-term play. Right now, we're in the recession for let's say like half a year, 1 year. It's probably going to go down a little bit more until like mid next year and maybe end of next year or beginning of the year afterwards. It's slowly going to recover, right?
Yeah.
This is not a financial advice. I'm not a financial guru. This is just like what we see right now with the downturn in the economy. So you need to have profit. You need to have cash flow, liquidity, and a long breath to go through this phase of like, let's say 1 year or 2 more years without consumer behavior as it was, right?
For sure. And talking about long-term play, most of the brands, and a lot of entrepreneurs don't want to hear that, most of the brands will not be sold. Like the big exit that everyone romanticizes about will not happen by probability. Like 9 out of 10 brands will not be sold. Like it's not the 8-figure exit that every dropshipper that starts dreams about. Yeah. Like just look at the statistics, it's not happening. If you look at it just by a purely statistical point. So you have to see, is the business I'm doing worthwhile? And if it's just worthwhile if we make a profit. So you have to pay your employees. You have to pay yourself. You have to pay your business in a way that is protected against further downturn. So you actually need profit, and taking this software approach and coming up with the idea, selling it for a year, raising a bunch of money and selling it to a VC afterwards, it's not that established. So you actually need to make profit from your brand. Otherwise, by chance, it will be failed business. Like if you look at it from a purely analytical standpoint. Like we work with 300 brands, 7 exits. Yeah. Like, of course, like you're working with way bigger brands in some cases there. I mean, most of our brands are like 7 to like low 8-figure range there. Like we have 1 or 2 outliers there, but exits are rarer than you think. And it's like these, how's it called? You're just hearing what you focus about. If you actually think your business will get sold, you're only listening to stories where they get micro-acquired or something like that. Yeah. But it's like the rare occasion. Yeah. So do yourself a favor and be profitable and earn some money.
Yeah, for sure. I want to get back to this one point because you said you have to find the optimum selling system. So maybe in a second, you can just touch base, like what would be the main action steps for brands to figure that out? Because for me, and I talk about this a lot, the like the optimum selling system for the funnels matters too, and then like the optimum system for the retention too, right? For me, it's like you have to test a lot of different funnel structures, a lot of different customer journeys and landing pages, and also different offers to find out which is the one funnel that you can scale, right? Because a lot of people, I don't know what's going on with like brand owners like nowadays, but either way, they're totally shiny object syndrome driven, or they only focus on paid acquisition, not on funnels and not on retention. But like as a brand owner, I think you kind of have to balance all three of these levers, because if you only pull paid acquisition lever and then you don't touch the funnels, don't touch the retention, like you're missing out on two huge levers. So for me, I always like to say, first of all, analyze the target audience. Secondly, get in touch with the target audience, so that in the third step, you can understand the target audience, right? Like what are they going through? What are they thinking, feeling, emotions, pain points, motives, beliefs, desires, everything. Because based on that, you can get a better understanding of how you should build the funnel structure, and also how you can build the perfect offer for them, right? And like all of this ties together. It shouldn't be unique effort to dial in paid acquisition and then a different effort to dial in funnels and then a different effort to dial in retention. It all should be one huge effort, right? Where you, from the first touch point to they buy the third product from you, should be one straight line selling system, right? You should be really dialing in all of these, like the steps, whether it be in the creative, in the media buying, in the funnels, like first touch point, in the checkout, in the upsell, on the thank you page, or in the email that you're sending them, right? You need to dial in everything from A to Z. And that was also my key takeaway for the people in the audience in Dubai. Like, you need to figure out everything. I can give you all the source for landing pages and funnels, but if your paid acquisition sucks or your offer sucks, like it's not going to work out. So like that's what we see with all of these big brands, right? They have really understood target audience, product market fit, and the offer on a deeper level. And then the paid acquisition, the funnel, and the emails are just like ways of how they utilize this understanding.
I can just totally agree to that. It's basically just going the easier way. Like, of course, like running a business is hard. Of course, it's hard. So I might as well do the most easiest way in running it. And that would be to look at where's my target audience spending the most time on. See, do my metrics make sense on that platform? Like if I have such a low AOV and I can't possibly figure out how to get my AOV up, maybe I should try TikTok because the CPMs are more cheap. Like, it's just logical thinking at that point. So really have to see which channel makes sense on your side and then see how can I really scale the channel. If you are fundamentally bad at sourcing content, maybe Google is a better way for you to run your ads. Yeah. Like maybe you have a really interesting looking product. Might as well spin up some content creators and see if it works. But I think you can't pussyfoot around doing like small tests. You actually scale with balls there and see, okay, if I want to validate the thesis that Facebook is going to be my perfect channel, go in with full force. Like do a lot of creatives, do a lot of copies, do different target audiences, not just do the mere $50 a day, one audience, one creative, and okay, Facebook is not working for me. Like, you can't do that. You actually have conviction in your stuff. And then it's easier for you to have conviction if you have a brand because you believe in your brand. So I think just logically think where's your target audience spending the most time, see if you can make your offer fit onto the platform, and if so, really double down on that and do what's necessary there. And having no knowledge in running a platform is not an excuse anymore. Like 4 years ago, like no one knew, like the mainstream didn't know how to run Facebook ads. So you can make a killing as a like freelance media buying consultant. Like that was my past. I was running like a media buying consultancy and no one was able to run ads because they had no idea. The business manager was looking funky and it was awesome to consult him on that. But right now with the automated bidding, like the advantage campaigns on Facebook and the performance max on Google, the platforms are doing a lot of work for you. So just sit down, spend like 4 hours going through YouTube, going to like read up on experts, listening to talks, and just test it. Like knowledge is no excuse anymore. You can get the knowledge. The only difference will be the quality of the inputs that you put in. And then you can work with the expert on that.
Yeah,
but you shouldn't hire an expert to do like the bare minimum that you could do with a 1 hour YouTube tutorial. Talking about efficiency and cash flow optimization.
Great. I really enjoyed this conversation, bro.
Likewise.
What would be the main 1 takeaway or 3 takeaways that you would give brands now at the end, like really golden nuggets to take home with and execute on?
I think the lowest hanging fruit is to build a very cold-friendly offer. High AOV, seeing what can we offer with our leading product. Can we include bundles? Can we include certain upsells? Like in one case where we scaled, we just did like a double bundle instead of a single product of the main bestseller. What can you do to bump up your front-end acquisition cost there, to bump up your front-end acquisition profit there? Like the most important way. If you're on a low AOV side in your front-end acquisition, just change that. Like it would be the most ideal use of your time at first. Second would be test other channels. Don't be married to like one platform. See what other platforms can do for you. Google is such low-hanging fruit for most of the brands. I mean, they're like 90% meta dominant. Like, wow. just do that. And I think the third way would be to watch your expenses like a hawk. I think going into scaling and paid acquisition is like the offense of playing. But really reducing your cost, doing less stupid decisions, being more efficient. Maybe you're overstaffed and bloated and cutting that down. It's like playing defense. You actually have some you now need to have some defense in your business because no one knows what the recession will come down to. So getting very aggressive on the acquisition side with the code-friendly offers and being very defensive on the side of protecting what you build. I think this is like the perfect storm there.
I love the conclusion, bro. Thank you so much for being on.
Of course.
Thank you guys for listening. Stay tuned and see you soon.